All righty, we are live. Hey, everybody. I'm so happy. So happy to be here with Melanie Hamlett. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing everything right.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's
Good.
Lorraine,
Yes.
right? That's how you say
Yes,
your name,
Lorraine.
Lorraine?
Yes. Lorraine Kamesha. Yes.
Mm.
So we have been following each other on TikTok for a while, and we talk about, pretty much the same, some of the same things. We go through some of the same struggles. So there's some overlap there. So I thought it would be awesome to hop on live with Melanie and just have a discussion. What do you think?
Mhm. Yeah, do you is that a Southern accent I
It
detect?
is straight
Okay,
out.
I thought so. No,
From
I'm from
Tennessee.
Nashville. I don't know if you knew that about me,
Oh,
but
you're from Nashville. I'm from Chattanooga, girl. See?
oh my God, okay. Well, I've driven through your town a lot, on the way to pretty much anywhere.
Yes, and I went to school out there. So yes, absolutely. So we do have more in common than we thought we did.
No, I find like your accent's very soothing to my ears. And I live in France. I don't know if I've told you that. I think I told
Yes,
you
you
that, but I
did.
never hear a Southern accent over here or, English in general. So
How has that been? Like you just picked up and decided you're gonna move?
yeah. And it's funny because everyone assumes I moved for a man. Everybody. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And that's actually been my new mission in life is I'm realizing so many women, because of what we're taught, are just to like, oh, okay, well, I'm supposed to move to a new town for his career. I'm supposed to like, and I love The Little Mermaid. It's one of my favorite movies, and I can't wait to see the new one. But the only thing I don't like about The Little Mermaid is the moving to another world and
A
and
whole
get
new world.
a whole new world, a new language. Like, it's a
It
lot of work. It's hard to leave everyone
is.
you love to go and be in his world,
Oh my
and
God.
I don't suggest it. That's why I moved here for me. I established myself, my community, my friends, because I mean, every woman in the Facebook groups who moved here for a man is
Oh, of
miserable. They hate
course.
it,
Of
you know?
course. Of course. You ain't gotta move around the corner to be miserable moving in with one of them like that. No,
Yep.
it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. I learned a long time ago that moving in with a man increases your stress and workload 9 times out of 10, especially
Mhm.
if you're in a position where you can take care of, financially yourself.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
honestly, that's the trade-off, that I found. And that's when I got smart enough to stop dating the whole 50-50 and the, sometimes 20-80 and, skewed to my my side. So
28, yeah.
yeah, I learned that the hard way that, and I did a video on TikTok not too long ago that went viral and it went to YouTube, but also I think I put it on IG as well. And it was about the switch up. Like at what point do you expect a switch up? Because I mean, we've talked about narcissism and love bombing and all that good
Wait a
stuff.
second. That was
But
you? Because I
yeah,
saw it a while ago, right? Where you
yeah.
basically said at a certain point,
Mm-hmm.
it's like Uno Reverso, you
Exactly.
know? I saw that a long time. I think
Yes.
it's in my. I think I have it saved in as a future stitch, a video to stitch that I
Mhm.
just haven't because my unorganized ADHD
Me too.
file is like thousands of videos, and I'm like, wait,
Me
which
too.
one?
Right, right. Yeah, but we talked about it, but some of them, I mean, it just depends on the man. Do they switch up when they become boyfriend girlfriend? Do
Yep.
we switch up when we decide that we're exclusive? Some of them switch up at engagement. Other ones switch up
Mhm.
when you get married. Some of them switch up when you get pregnant. Other ones switch up when you have the
Yeah.
baby. Some of them switch up when you get sick and now you need them, or when you lose a job. Like there's when you move
Yep.
across country or what
Yep.
have you. Like the switch up is real. So what I talk about is you can't really determine like there's so much that is he making the moves, is are you listening to what he says, are you like girl, just be prepared that when he switch up you switch up, so now when they switch up I switch up.
Yeah, it's because I get you probably get this too is a lot of women, they want dating advice and they want to know what's the secret to it all. How do you foolproof yourself from the switch up? What are all the red flags?
Right.
And yes, there are certain ones that you absolutely need to pay very close attention to if you see them, but it's all contextual and there's no guarantee. And what I realize is a lot of times that's coming, and I get it, from like, can somebody just tell me the secret code? What's the code? And there is no code. There's no
secret code is be able to get the hell on, get the hell out of the way if he switches up. That's the only secret code. And like you said, there are red flags, and 9 times out of 10, people are going to tell you after the fact, oh, well, you missed that red flag, or you didn't, you know, all that stuff. Who cares? That doesn't do anything but keep you around so that you can be shameful about it and you can, you know, internalize all that stuff, because to me, that's just hateful. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just really hateful. And you never know when it's going to switch up or when it's going to happen, because you don't know how these people are raised, or you know, you can know a little bit about the situation, but you really got to be analytical. Like, you really have to have a psychology degree or be a whole psychiatrist to figure out what's going on in people's head. And that's just impossible.
And that's also why, for me, it's really important. And it seems like this is a really big part of your message in a lot of your videos too, is like, don't put yourself, you cannot control what they're going to do. There's nothing that is foolproof, but the most important thing to do is make sure that you are never putting yourself in a position where you can't get out, right? That you have your own bank account, that you have the resources you need, and that's why, like, the push for stay-at-home moms, like, I know that there's a reason for that sometimes, but don't put everything into this man, because if and when, more often when, not if, but when he switches up and everything is invested in this, like, you have nowhere to go. You are trapped in a prison of your own making. And if you do that in another country, which is one of the reasons, like, then you literally are held hostage in that country. If you have kids, you cannot leave, or it's kidnapping.
Life or death situation.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. So I've realized that when I make videos about this and I talk about moving to another country, my comments are full of women who are like, yeah, I just moved to another state and I got totally, I was stuck. And I was like, yeah, imagine all your in-laws are on his side. He's got his culture, his language, his family, and the police and international borders protecting him, not you. You got nothing. Don't do it. I don't care how
religious
much you love him. Don't do it. You know?
Yes. And sometimes religious laws. Sometimes. I did another video where I started off with being a stay-at-home mom is not a privilege. It's not.
Yeah, that's what I think I stitched that one of you, because I was like, that right there, because
it's not.
Yeah. It's
and women went straight
the push to do, they keep pushing that on people. Right.
And it's not the fact, so many women took it back to, well, I get to stay home with my kids and it's just warm and fuzzy. It's the most rewarding thing. I'm like, girl, we're not talking about whether you like being with your kids. I like being with my kids. We are talking about what happens to you when you pull yourself out of the workforce for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, depending on how you space your kids out. Where is your 401k? Where is your retirement? Do you have, bank accounts? Do you have something put aside? And so many women came back with, oh, well, I have access and I make my own Target runs and I can go to, girl, access. Like, I have an Airbnb property. I give people access to my property all the time. Does that mean that they can go and sell it if they need to, or can they make a decision?
That's a really great metaphor. That's a great metaphor.
They can't, you cannot. So, I just trying to challenge women to think beyond, what the smoke and mirrors is showing. Because honestly, if it was a privilege, it would be more men doing it. They take every privilege for themselves at all times. It is not a coincidence that there are not many stay-at-home dads. I was raised by a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, wow.
But that was very abnormal. Not only was my dad older than most of the dads in, my age group, he was a stay-at-home dad. Yeah. So I grew up knowing that men can cook, they can clean, they can do laundry, they can iron, they can take kids to school, they can remember birthdays, they can remember doctor's appointments, they can do all those things. You know what I'm saying? So I just,
love that. I love that you have like you have proof, right, from your lived experiences that they can do it. And I'm actually shocked that your dad in that generation was willing to do that, because they're so resistant to it now. And like they're like, well, no.
yeah, my mom says all the time that my dad was older than her. They were both. I had older parents. They're both in their 40s, upper 30s when they had me. Dad was
Mhm.
83 when he passed away in 2019. But
Mhm.
she always said he didn't mind whatever I wanted to do because he had already lived life. Like he'd
Yeah.
already been to the army. He'd already owned a barbershop. He'd already done all these things. So he was
Yeah.
just happy to say, whatever you want to do, hun, and I'll go along with it type thing. But he was also a hustler, and that's pretty much what I do. Like he could find $1 from anywhere. If it was picking up
Mhm.
stuff off the side of the road and reselling it, if it was, providing services, if it was building something, that's what he was going to do. So I grew up seeing that you can work and you can take care of your house and your kids. There's
Mhm.
not a reason why you can't do that, because not my mom is a pharmacist. She's working 40, 50 hours a week, and on the
Yeah.
weekends she's coming home and she's taking care of us and she's up with us and she's cooking breakfast.
Mhm.
So why can't you, if you're going to work 40 hours a week and you're off on weekends or you come home at night, why you can't wash a dish or why you can't clean up after
Mhm.
yourself? It's weird to me.
Yeah.
And I begin to see that the only reason why they couldn't is because they didn't want to, or because
Yeah.
they thought it
Exactly.
was your job.
It's funny. I bet I would be willing to bet a lot of money that people accuse you of having had like a single mom or something like that they're like, because like the anytime that anyone comes at me for talking about women's stuff, they're like, well, good luck dying alone with cats. And I'm like, actually, I'm married to a really great guy. And they're like, oh. you know so they're
Exactly.
I
Yes.
mean,
Or they say you're never going to have a man. See, I've been married and divorced 3 times. Okay. One thing I know, one thing for sure, two things for certain is that there is always going to be a man around. I'm never going to have a shortage of having a man around. So the
yeah.
assumption is, oh, you got divorced, then it must be you. And I'm like, yeah, but you got 3, 4 baby mamas. So is it you, or is there something different about,
Hmm.
being married and deciding, hey, this is not working out for me? And I
Hmm.
think that's what keeps a lot of women in these, messed up relationships where they're being just taken advantage of and treated any
Yeah.
kind of way, that they don't want that stigma. And I gave up a long time. I don't care. If I have to Elizabeth
Yeah.
Taylor it and be married 50,000 times, then that's what I'll do, because
Hmm.
I've seen it. My people ask me all the time, why did you marriage after marriage 1, I was done. Like you went 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, because I see that it is possible, from what I
Hmm.
saw that my parents had. I understand that it's possible. Now, if I didn't have the dad that I have, I probably would have never got married in the
Yeah,
first
exactly.
place.
Exactly. See, that's why, like, what I've realized is, so a lot of my mutuals on TikTok, they come, it's our the collective experience that's very different, that just helps everyone see, like, oh man, they're lying to us. Because, like, for instance, one of my favorite mutuals, she has an amazing dad. She loves her dad, and everyone assumes that she hated her dad, or he wasn't, never saw him. And she's like, nope. So it's like she's not dating or married to anyone, but she has an amazing dad who set that bar super high. I
Mhm.
had like my dad was like pretty much what who kind of taught me to expect nothing from men, and actually to kind of be attracted to predators almost. And so, but I have a really healthy marriage. And so I have the collective experience of like growing up with like, I know predators really well. And then I also know a really good man. So I have my experience. You have yours of a really great dad who set a great example and showed a new way of living that so many, I can't even fathom that, honestly. A stay-at-home dad who like loves that. So I love following creators who talk about what it was like to be raised by a great dad, because I learn a lot, like, oh, so that should be normalized. Let's normalize this. Let's keep talking about this. And I think that's why all of our voices are really important, because all of our experiences, we can all learn, you know what I mean? We're helping
Yeah.
people learn what
Yeah.
what should be normalized, because they've been normalizing these king babies and these like sad men who are, and like that's that's not okay. Like good
Yes.
men do exist. But
Yes, and normalize it. And I did normalize it. And that was part of my problem because I normalized what I saw at home. So when I got out into the world, then I expected everybody to be nice to each other and giving to each other and to
yeah, you were like,
reciprocate each other.
you were
And I showed up. Right.
Right,
I showed up on the scene and it was a hot mess. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've never seen my parents tear each other down. I've never seen them call each other names. I've never seen them yell and cuss at each other. I've never seen them, one not do for one and the other do for, like, I'd never seen that. So when I got out into the world and I was like easy prey, people were taking advantage of me left and right.
Yeah. Because it's almost like you had the sunglasses on of like almost innocence, and because you didn't know how awful men could be, and you had to learn to experience.
Right. I mean, I saw a few things, but I always felt like, a man, he wants to get married, that he's husband material, that sort of thing. But I didn't realize that men were weaponizing marriage, children, household chores. Like, I didn't understand that was the case. I didn't get it.
Yeah, it's funny because so for me, like I saw like men as dangerous, but I was like, well, whatever. That's normal for me, right? So I kind of worked through I spent a long time working through all my stuff, and then I met a great partner. Now it's hard for me to believe that he's a good man because I've only had terrible experiences. You know what I mean? It'd be like, if you never had a dad like yours and then you meet your dad, you're like, okay, when are you going to all the time, every day I'm projecting all the men from the ghosts from my dating past show up in my marriage. And I'm like, wait a second, is this a real thing? Or is this a man who traumatized me coming out right now? And I'll be like, and then
Exactly.
I have like a big support system that helps me not just be super terrible to him, because I'm always assuming, or I'm always afraid that he might be like one of those men. And that's never the case. So I have people who keep me in check, which is important, especially if you have a lot of trauma, because otherwise you're going to project. But anyway, that was one of the videos that I loved. There's been several videos I didn't even realize.
I look
that all of the ones you've mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, I loved that video and I loved that video. But the switch up, and also the one that I think I ended up stitching was you. Because I was raised by a single mom, and I love single moms. I talk about them all the time. I really think that women who think they're doing their kids a favor by staying with terrible men, they are not. You're literally you're grooming you're raising your child. You're normalizing terrible behavior, and that's exactly who they're going to marry, right? And I believe that one of the reasons why I am as independent in all of the things that I am and have done all this great, cool stuff in my life is because I did not have a man in the house. It was just, my sister and me, our female dog, Fifi Marie Hamlett, and my mom. So what I love about one of your videos is that, and I think you've talked about it a lot, is just how much work the mom or the whoever's staying home does, and how it's several different jobs. I used to be a nanny. I also, was a house cleaner, and those are all separate jobs. And these stay-at-home moms are expected to do 3 jobs with you. Like they should be paying like $500,000 a year for what they're doing, but men just want them to do it all for free. You know what I mean?
And then talk to you crazy.
How you doing? Dollar value on it, and I love it because you're like, yeah, I pay, and you're so transparent about that. And I think I love hearing that. I love that conversation that you're starting.
Yeah, because I had to. There's no other way. Like in dating, like once I start adding up, like I have to pay $900 a week before I can even go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you start breaking your time down like that, and so like let's go to the, let's do something that I don't, that I know you're not gonna like. Let's go watch a game, and I know you don't watch football or basketball. A lot of them want your presence doing the things that they like doing. They really don't.
So I make a lot of videos about that too.
Yes, you do.
Crazy. Yeah, because as somebody who was like I got in again, I moved to France for me, right? So
Right.
this is for me. And then I met my husband after I'd already been here, and I was like, oh, cool. Well, I met someone in the place that I love being. That works. But the same thing about rock climbing. I got into rock climbing because I wanted to climb. And I'm telling you, so many women get into rock climbing because a guy, they'll start dating a guy and he'll be like, hey, you want to go climbing? And then her whole world, it's like
It's rock
Ariel in the
climbing.
climbing world. Next thing you know, she's moved into a van. She's living in a van. I never wanted to do that. She's hanging all of her free time is climbing. And that's all they talk about. And I'm like, oh my God. And the thing is that no men would ever do that for them.
No,
That's
never.
yeah,
And they'll
never
tell
do
you
that for
right in
them.
your face. I remember a guy I dated and he loved the grill. And I said, hey, could you grill some oysters? That would be really nice. So like me and my mother love grilled oysters. Oh, I'm not doing that. I was like, why not? He's like, I don't eat oysters. I'm like, but we do. I'm sure it won't take that long. It don't even take that long to grill. And he was like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. That's gross. I'm never gonna do anything like that. And I'm like, what? But they expect that you just assimilate yourself just
Yeah.
seamlessly. In the South, it's sports. How
Yeah.
many women do you know that
Oh,
do
yeah.
not like sports, do not enjoy sports, ain't thinking about what team is about to play, and all of a sudden now they're all dressed up, decked down in the Falcons, and they have the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, I have like in my one of my family members didn't care about sports, and all of a sudden there is a poster of the coach of this team in our kitchen. I'm like, what? Why is our whole world like these colors now? It's like the team colors. Like that was when I was like, oh my God, this is what it's like to literally like to have the man as the planet, and you're literally just or sorry, as the sun, and you're just literally orbiting around him, and everything is about his moods, your moods, and your happiness hinges on his moods.
Right.
Everything hinges on when the sports is playing. Everything revolves around him, like everything, every detail. And I am not interested in that. And that's what I think being raised by a single mom really set that example, because she did not have someone in the home forcing her to center them, right? So she centered herself, her children, and her female friends who were other single moms. And so that's all I knew. So then I just didn't date, because anytime I got involved with a dude, I was like, whoa, what is this? So I was like, no. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's something that I am breaking down like as we speak. I've realized that in the past, I have been really just super accommodating, and I did not save enough for myself. Like at the end of the day, sometimes I feel like we need to be more like them, because they're always on that self-preservation tip. Like if it's something that's going to make them too uncomfortable, or something that that they're just not going to enjoy, or that's going to be boring, like they have no problem saying no. And I've been really focusing on doing that in my life. Like I talked to my mother about this recently. I said, how crazy is it that we will sit and argue with a toxic partner for hours on end, and we may be having health issues, or our blood pressure is high, or whatever is going on with our health internal wise, and we can't even spend 30 minutes to take a walk outside. That's too inconvenient for us. But we will sit up and we will literally give them our emotional labor, give them our physical labor, wake up first thing. I noticed I was waking up first thing in the morning, and before I could even pay attention to myself, do anything for myself, I'm up starting coffee and tea. Do you want this? Do you need that? What's going it's something that is kind of just it's expected of you. It's taught to you. Especially when you see, everybody's married, you see those types of dynamics. It's a lot to try to unpack after you've been that way, or you've seen that for a while. And honestly, I call it my villain era now. Like I'm all into the no. I'm getting up. I'm taking my walks. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm taking myself. Like in the morning, I focus on me first.
Yeah. And it's funny because I actually wrote about this for an article in Glamour magazine a few years ago, but I've even become more extreme in my thinking of how important this is. I learned not from toxic men, but from really healthy men, and now including my husband, the way he doesn't do anything he doesn't want to do. Now he may do things he doesn't enjoy because he wants to make me happy, but he doesn't agree to stuff just because. Like he literally checks in with himself on a regular basis to see how he feels about stuff. Because in men, like before I met him, I met this one guy, and we had like a hookup or whatever, and then he was like, "Hey, just so you know, I have to get up at 6:30 in the morning. I also don't sleep very well with someone else. And I feel like I'm going to keep you up all night. I'm not getting any sleep. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I really need to get sleep tonight. Are you okay if I, leave in an hour or so?" And I was like, first of all, I was mad. First of all, I was like, God, he hates me. And then I was like, whoa, no. He's literally just telling me, he's being very transparent about what he needs. And he's also being thoughtful about it. And I'm like, okay, so men are raised to be super selfish and we're raised to be super codependent, where all we think about is what they need. If we met in the middle, we could learn so much from men because they could learn how to be more thoughtful and consider everyone else at all. They could learn that from us. Now, obviously, it's not all men or whatever, but we can learn how to center ourselves and check in with ourselves, because I literally my default is to not pause and say, what do I need? What do I want? Do I want to do this? I immediately am like, what do they want? What do they think? What are they going to think about? It's all about them. It's all about them. That's my default. And it is my husband is never like, a lot of the times our problems come from my conditioning, not his. We're both unpacking the patriarchy, and we have lots of discussion. We're both growing and learning how this plays out. But so much of it's coming from me, where I'm just instinctively, or not instinctively, socially conditioned to just da 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 da. And then I'm like, whoa, Melanie, what are you doing? How do you feel right now, Melanie? It's just not how we're not taught to do that.
No, but we're taught to complain about it after the fact. We
exactly. I'm gonna call my phone to my husband is that, and I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that.
No, and I found myself doing that. Like one of the things that people asked was, what part did you play in your divorces? And the part that I played is that I would be completely silent on what it is that I had two modes. Either I was going to be completely silent on what it is that I needed, or I was going to fixate on this one need so hard and just keep just hitting it. When at the end of the day, I had a choice all along to either be there or not be there. Once my boundary went up and that person decided that, hey, I'm going to keep crossing or I'm not going to deal with it, then, but you also have to learn how to voice what it is that your needs are, not just, put them on the back burner and expecting somebody else to put your needs at the forefront of their lives. And you're not even willing to go to battle for your own needs. Like that's unrealistic. And when you just keep giving in, oh yeah, that's good. And you're expecting something in return, or you're expecting some sort of, I don't know, applause or something because you sacrificed the most.
That martyrdom thing.
Oh yeah, and it's taught, and religion is a big part of that. Growing up, Southern missionary Baptist, we're taught that if you just martyr yourself, if you get, keep giving, don't worry if nobody gives anything back to you. You'll get your, just
you'll get yourself.
And everybody's showing up at your funeral and they're talking about, oh, she never rested. She never took any time for herself. She never went anywhere. She gave everybody her last. She did. I don't want that to happen at my funeral.
Exactly. I don't want that kind of eulogy. No. It's funny because, so like I said, a lot of the things that I'm learning, so for instance, in the beginning, I wasn't used to having, healthy fights, or, I don't even want to call it a fight, but just, differing or voicing your needs and stuff. So I would eat it. I would swallow it. Anytime I got upset about something, I was really afraid that I was being out of line. So I would say, and I mean, right in the beginning of our marriage, finally, I was like, I was crying from rage, and I know I've heard from, I think it was Gloria Steinman, who was like, a lot of women cry, they're angry, but they it comes out in tears because they're not allowed to be angry for various reasons, right?
Mhm.
And so he finally goes, babe, you're not okay. And clearly stuff's going on, but you have to tell me, please tell me. And he literally had to say, I'm not going to leave you. Okay. I'm not going to leave you. You can tell me. Okay. And he had to reassure me. And then I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. And so then I told him, he's like, see, that was easy. Like he had to pull it out of me in the beginning. Now I've been practicing it for a while. So now when there's something wrong, I tell him immediately. We discuss it, we move on, and it's easy. I'm not afraid to, but in the beginning, and that's why I think it's really important that we have to. It's good if you have friends who hold you accountable, who tell you, hey, look, are you saying that? Are you talking about this? Are you just martyring thing because you're actually not being fair to your partner? If he's really a good partner and he loves you and you're not discussing this stuff, you're actually sabotaging your relationship. Don't you care about the relationship enough to do your end of the work and face your fear of them running the other way by you saying what your needs are, right? Because that's what it really comes down to. And the thing is, he didn't run away. If anything, he loved me more, and our relationship grew but I'm so afraid to be honest. I'm so afraid. I'm not now, but I was. I got no practice at it. And anytime I was in the past, it was not a safe thing to do. It ended up in dangerous situations, so I just learned to swallow it. I literally got a throat infection from swallowing it so much.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
It'll manifest that stress, and it's something I'm dealing with right now. Like I just found out that I'm pre-diabetic at the ripe old age of 38 because it's the stress. It's the stress of holding things in. It's the stress of managing everything and stuff like that. That is manifesting itself in my body, and I've always been like that. If I'm too stressed out, or some of these women, they stick through a lot, and I've stick through some things, but they stick through so much, I would literally be dead. Like I gotta leave.
Yeah. That's actually, I did a video about that recently because
you did
because I think that we don't take it seriously. We're like, they're like, domestic violence is just always supposed to be physical. These situations, they don't have to lay a finger on you, and these men can kill you. They can kill you. Like so many women that have chronic autoimmune. I mean, when you're living on edge all the time and stressed and angry and resentful, it will literally take years off your life or decades.
You're not getting sleep. You're not eating right. I mean, there were times where I could remember just not going all day and not having anything to eat. Like literally sitting here at the desk working or taking care of kids, changing diapers, making bottles, doing whatever, and not having anything to eat until 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then people
are like, your body just kind of adapts and you adapt, but it does catch up with you. And that's how, I mean, it can show up as cancer. And I mean, it can show up in so many ways. And then we're like, oh, what happened? It's like, the nervous system alone can only take, especially if it's a man who, weaponizes his moodiness and is like angry or pouting all the time. Like that is so stressful to be around, to walk on eggshells around a man's moods. And your nervous system is shot it takes, once you get out of that relationship, like for me, it took me over a year for my body to just like breathe, like all areas of my body to just calm down, because I was in that state of like constant fear and tension,
Yeah. And it's kind of what I'm going through right now. I'm just kind of like, I can actually feel my body looser. Like I moved out from a situation and I moved into my own house, and I could just feel the peace, just my body just, just kind of calming down and everything loosening up. I mean, just, getting up, stretching in the morning, doing my walks and stuff. Like I was just so tight all the time. So and people don't understand that. They don't understand that stress is one of the factors to so many different diseases. Like I was a pharmacist before I became a content creator, a full-time business owner.
Your mom.
Yeah, just like my mom. So, people don't really take into account how stress affects the body. Those hormones, cortisol affects all different types of systems. You know, your testosterone, your estrogen, your steroid level, all those types of things are affected by a stress hormone. And if your body is constantly releasing a stress hormone, then your body is literally in fight or flight mode at all times.
Yeah.
And that inflammation is
Yeah.
wreaking havoc on your
Yeah.
body. And it manifests into a lot of different things: high blood pressure, high blood sugar, like you said, autoimmune diseases, cholesterol, heart disease, strokes, joint issues, arthritis, all different types of things.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you, and when you look, I don't have any stats in front of me, but I'd be willing to bet that, you know, most of the women who have like severe issues, like most of the women I know who have severe issues with a lot of the things that you just mentioned, they have like a kind of a king baby in their life. You know? But on the record and all, you know, like the statistics will say, oh, well, you know, the number one killer of women is cancer or whatever it is. It's never going to say men, because they die by the hands of a man, but they died by like the nervous system burnout of a man in their house. You know what I mean?
Burnout of no getting sleep. I remember, you know, this last baby that I had, no sleep. No sleep. You know what I'm saying? And I remember having a conversation of like talking like, okay, we both work. You work outside the house and your job is pretty dangerous without sleep. You know what I'm saying? So I'll get up during the night, but on the weekends, I'm going to need sleep. I remember having a conversation trying to determine who deserved sleep more. Like, how do you
for your right to sleep?
Sleep. So I can only imagine, you know, sticking around for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You know, they always talk about the grandma and grandpa married for 50 years and whatnot. Grandma is tired.
Yeah, grandma was also held hostage, probably legally.
She lived her best life as soon as grandpa died. She was in the streets.
Oh yeah. I look literally. So my proudest article is the men have no friends and women bear the burden for Harper's Bazaar. It went like super viral. And one of the most alarming interviews that I did, or something, like there was more than one. They're talking about their moms are like all so happy when their dads die, right? Yeah. She was like, yeah, every time like they'll be like, oh, Barbara's husband kicked the bucket. Time to go on a cruise. How sad is that? How sad is it that the women are waiting for their husbands to be in the ground before they can start living their life? And how sad is it for the men? Do you really want your wife waiting for you to die? Like what? Nobody really.
Girl, I don't care. I don't care. I've learned. And I'm not going to give as many details because it might be able to be identified. But a friend of a friend, they're older, up in age, and this man won't even let her go to a class for a hobby, because if she leaves and goes to the class to enjoy herself, he's not going to be able to fix food for himself. Like he's like, what am I going to eat while you're gone? I can't imagine, because the way my temper is set up, the way I am set up, like, you know, I can't imagine somebody literally telling me that I can't go out and do some of the things I want to do, because if I do, what is he going to eat? And they're well into retirement. You know, they have no kids at home. You know, even so, that it still wouldn't make a difference. But like, you're holding me literally hostage.
I mean, the thing is, and I love talking about one of my grandmas, because I found out long after she was dead, because, you know, all these podcast bros are always like, man, the grandparents were so happy. It's all a bunch of crap, you know. But I love trying to. I'm like, really? Because my grandma had an affair with a neighbor for 20 years. All she wanted was a divorce, and my grandpa wouldn't give it to her, so she made his life. You know, like he hated her, but he wouldn't let her have a divorce. So she just had this whole other, you know, she got revenge. You know what I mean? But okay, they stayed married. Like that's not, nobody wants that. Like, you know, what man wants their wife to literally hate them, cheat on them, do all this other stuff because you're literally holding her hostage? Like, and now because legally we can get divorced. Well, for now, until they take
Yeah.
our no fault
Trying
marriage
to get
away.
rid of that.
Yeah.
They're trying
But,
their hardest to get rid of that.
yeah, exactly. I forget which creator it is. She does a whole series on TikToks of like all these women who offed their husbands in the old day with like
Oh, yeah,
proof.
I saw that one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't like it's like this. The secret is like, oh yeah, he went for a horse ride. They just played
Right.
dumb, but it was, we know what happened, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
we
like,
know what happened. We know exactly what happened. That video that you did though, let's talk about that one, about the one that you did where nobody ever knows everything that mom does until she dies or until she
yeah,
leaves.
yeah. Wait, hold on a second. I've done a few of those. Wait, can you refresh me more? Because I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. Wait, was this a recent one?
I think it was maybe like last week, and you were talking about, and I replied to it, and I was like, or leave,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
understand everything that goes on, like their life completely crumbles because their spouse
Yeah.
has fell apart. Like,
Oh
of course,
yeah.
there's gonna be there's a level to that, you know what I'm saying? Like, my parents were very much partners. They both had their roles and stuff like that. And it wasn't based on gender, let me tell you that. But they had certain things they were responsible for. And when my father passed, like, it left my mom like, oh, what am I gonna do? But at the end of the day, she's still alive, she's still eating, she's still going to the doctor's appointments. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? She's thriving.
Yeah.
And she's figuring it out. But we all have heard of those people that once their partner dies, and most of the time the wife dies, like the husband doesn't even want to be in this realm anymore because or he's got to get married like quick, fast, and in a hurry.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, it's so funny. You know what? I just made this connection right now. We romanticize this like every time the wife dies, the husband dies 3 months later, a year later to go be with her. I'm like, really? Are you sure he's trying to go be with her, or it's because he didn't do anything while she was alive and he doesn't know how to take care of himself?
So he can stress her out in the afterlife too.
Right? Like maybe every once in a while that's true. Like they died of a broken heart, because that's what they always say. But I'd be willing to bet it's most of those men is because once the wife is gone, they're like, oh, wait, she did everything. What do I do? Never mind, I give up. I want to die. Or rope in another woman to do all this crap because I'm not doing it. And that's kind of what they do. They either get remarried like that, or if they're old, they just die. They just give up.
What's so funny to me about these situations is that a lot of us have met single men, right? They go to work, they come home. They go to work, they come home. Like, I met a bunch of them that just literally go to work and come home. But when you have a job and you got to go to work and then you come home, like they expect to be able to come home and then you both come home and he's off and you're still working. You still got to maintain a nice house. You still got to, keep food in the refrigerator. You still have to do all these things. But I know a lot of single men who are, just going to work, coming home. They might order takeout. They eat fast food every day. That's why they die, because they're eating junk. And they're living in filth. They have no joy. They have little friends, little relationships. Like, of course they're dying. It's not a broken heart that they're dying of. They're dying of laziness is what they're dying of.
No, it's so funny because I also talk about, and every time I make one of these videos, at least one woman will come in and be like, yeah, the younger men are terrible too. And I'm like, again, I'm not saying but I talk about younger men a lot of times because society has told us that you got to marry an older man because the younger, because they're more mature. No, that's all the women that I know, including myself, are married to men younger than them by like 5 years, not like 15 years or something, because women have more energy, I swear, than every woman I know has more energy than any man I know. And, even into old age, we never rest. If we're not like working or volunteering or doing like, like the women, like my friends' moms who are, like old, they'll play like, they have like mahjong groups, or they have like bridge, or they're just a part of something. They're never just sitting at home watching TV. They are active members of community and life. right?
Right.
And a lot of times it's serving other people, of course, the grandkids or your aging parents. But I don't think I know a single woman that doesn't have a ton of stuff. Just she doesn't even have time for all the stuff she has to do or even wants to do. And a lot of men literally go to work and then they watch TV. That's literally all they do. And I'm like, and even young men, I'm like, and the guy that was 9 years younger than me, I used to call him grandpa. I was like, why? I'm like this around you, and you're gonna keep up with me, and I'm 9 years. Like, come on, you know what I mean? And I'm not talking like in like the brown chicken brown guy. I'm talking about just literally like every
Anything.
area of life. I mean, obviously, I know I'm pretty hyper. People call me like the Energizer Bunny, but like it doesn't matter what age. No man is as full of energy as most women that I know, right? And that's why younger men sometimes make more sense
Yeah.
because women, you know what I mean? We're ambitious. We're full of energy. We just want to do stuff. Right. And
Yeah.
the only thing that wears us down and even like wears down our ambition is men. Like, you know what I mean? Like the wimpy man, we come home and we're like, God, you're killing all my joy. You know what I mean?
What are you gonna do for me? When am I gonna get? When are you gonna? Yes, and I found that out the hard way. You know, I was raised with the same thing. You know, because I was looking at what I saw. My parents were, you know, I think 15 or 16 years apart. You know what I'm saying? And my dad was always, when I saw him, when I met him, he was always pretty mature and, you know, responsible and, you know, that type of thing. So I assumed that, you know, older men would be, you know, more mature. I found that out the hard way that is not necessarily the case. Because I mean, I think one of the guys I was married to was like 12 years older than me, still a baby to this day.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if they're like a little king baby, when the older they get, the worse they get. They get, you know what I mean? They become more babyish in their age. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense to date way older if their mindset is still like a child, you know?
Right. And then you got to be careful out here because now we have these men that looking for a nurse and a purse. Like they've been
exactly.
running around their whole, you know, youth. And now that they're getting in these health issues are starting earlier and earlier and earlier, like in the upper 30s, early 40s and stuff. For some of these men, they are having heart attacks at 45. Like I have an associate of mine called me one morning with his wife on the phone, and they were like, she said, can you talk to him real quick and just see what's going on? Like he's been complaining about a cough for a while. And I told him it's just a cold or whatever. I got on the phone with him. And basically when he told me I understood it to be heart failure. This man is 43 years old. I'm like, I get her back on the phone. I'm like, please take him to the hospital. Not tomorrow, not the next hour, like right now. Come to find out, his heart was operating at less than 30% of its function at like 43 years old. So we got to be extremely careful about, you know, marrying these older men and stuff sometimes because a lot of them are love bombing younger women and make the future faking younger women or whatever so that they could have somebody that will be beholden to them to take care of them for the rest of their life.
Hospice wife.
Yeah. I mean, no.
and it's not just like, you know, it's not even just younger women, although they absolutely go for younger women. But like one of the things that I've learned, especially from following a lot of single women on TikTok who are in their 50s, when I started thinking about it, I was like, if I'm glad I met my husband when I did, because, you know, I was 40. Well, we got married when I was 42. But if I was single until like maybe 55 or 50 even, I don't know if it would benefit me to get married because a lot of men are just gonna like die, or you know what I mean? That like, and so like unless it's like a very special man and you are really protecting yourself from becoming a hospice wife, like a lot of it doesn't even make sense to get married after a certain age for women because of all of the expectations of us to take care of these men. You know what I mean?
Right. And
And
it's a lot.
what?
And
And
it's like,
all of a sudden they're on Tinder all of a sudden because they just decided that they really want to settle down. And so many of the times it's because they had a health scare. And they're like,
right.
oh, and then they're literally just doing it to, it's almost like the woman is an insurance policy again, that they're taking out,
Exactly. And it's so crazy because I know I'd be the most terrible nurse. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
changing.
I know.
You,
I'm
you die.
like, you don't want me to be a nurse. I'll be like, come on, get it in there, stick
Yeah,
it in there.
I'm not. I don't have no type of soft touch. Like,
Yeah.
I,
No, my husband he's the nurturer. He's so good at taking care of me. And when he's sick, I'm like, you need anything? And I was like, okay, Melanie, stop. You
that's me. I peek my head in the door. I'm like, hey, you need to take Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours. I've already told my mom, like, if it comes down to it and I have to take care of you, like, we're hiring a home health nurse because I'll spend all the time in the world with you, but I'm not going to be able to like change your diapers or anything like that. That's not, what I'm saying. And they just assume because it's just a woman that's what's going to do. And then they end up in these nursing homes by themselves. And
yeah. I mean, when my dad got Alzheimer's, we had to push really hard to get him into a memory care center because the toll it was taking on my stepmom was, I was really afraid that we were going to lose her before him because taking care, I mean, plus, men are so oftentimes so much bigger. They're taller, that like he would fall. Oh, he fell every day, every single day. So she had to call the fire department every day to come pick him up. So he fell when I was home visiting and I was like, what do you do every day? He's too big. You can't pick him up. So she has to call the fire department. I'm like, we have to put him in a home. Like, it's like if he was taking care of you, which he wouldn't, because so many men would never do for women what they expect women to do for them, right? Like they can actually physically care for women better than women can for someone who outweighs them by 60 pounds or more, right? But anyway, so many men are going to end up dying alone. And I swear, I'm so tired. You can die alone with cats. And people, I love it when women come in, they're like, that's an insult to cats. Cats are great. Give me a cat. And I will die alone happily than deal with another man, And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Right. Because it's a stress. If you don't have a partner in every sense of the word, it makes no sense. Nope. None. And I tell people this all the time. Why would there have to be so many laws, so many religious beliefs, so much text, so much pressure, so much, society expectations and stuff for something that is supposed to be beneficial for you?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? That makes no sense.
When people ask me all the time, they're like, I can't believe you got married, given that how you talk about marriage. I'm like, yeah, I hate marriage, the institution. It's a scam. But I love my marriage. And the difference is that unlike a lot of marriages, my husband has consistently made my life better and easier since I met him. I have become a better person. I have grown so much in all areas of my life. My career has taken off, and a career is usually a good indicator. If your career starts going backwards, that is a red flag. You are with a man who is sabotaging you either on purpose, like I think it's always on purpose, but either it's outright or just like sneaky. You know what I mean?
So you're talking about covert or overt narcissism.
Yeah, exactly.
Either he's aggressive or he's passive aggressive with it.
Yeah.
And that passive aggressive comes in those little side comments, and when you make
sarcasm.
You make some type of accomplishment, and they don't say anything, and those types of things. We've been there before.
Yep. By the way, I just saw what time it is. It's actually like midnight here, so I think I should probably get off sometimes.
Yes, you should. Well, thank you so much.
Give you a heads up, but I could talk to you forever. And I think we should, do. I mean, would you want to go live with me again? I mean, I was like, would you want to be my live friend?
I do. Let's do it. I'm so excited to have you today, and I just knew we were going to vibe. I know. I'm glad that
I think you suggested, or you said something where I was like, wait, is she asking me to do a live with her? Because I totally want to do that. So I'm so glad I kind of read that from each other pretty easily.
Yes, and I'll be on your videos. Definitely follow us both on TikTok. We will definitely be doing some collabs soon. I'm a lurker, but I'm getting better at that because I'm so analytical. I'm always looking at the algorithm and all that stuff, but I'm gonna definitely make my presence known on your page, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
You too. I'm so glad to spend time with you, and we'll be in touch. Okay. Have a great night or
Bye.
great rest of your day, whatever time it is.
Bye-bye.
Bye.